All right. Good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson's Ring of Hire Show. Hey, how you doing, Amy?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing awesome. This is one of our things that we love to do with this show, and we're going to bring a candidate on tonight, Jennifer Cottrell. And Jennifer, I'm going to let you introduce yourself right after this video, so we'll be right back. If I got to push the right button, here we go. That still gets me going. I love that thing. I get all pumped up. All right, everybody. Like I said, me and Amy, we love doing this part of the show. We're trying to put Jennifer Cottrell here back to work in Rhode Island. And I want to thank anybody. Please feel free to ask questions on anything with Jennifer. We're going to put her in the hot seat, but we're going to do a live interview with her. So, how you doing, Jen?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're going to love it. So we're going to start out right off tonight, with some interview questions, and I'm going to ask some, and Amy's going to do some, and we're going to go from there. So we're going to put you right on there. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Shoot.
All right. Jen, tell us about yourself and your background, and tell us about your professional journey and what led you here today.
Yeah, so I'm a Rhode Island girl through and through. I was born and raised in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and then about 5 years ago, I moved over to Cumberland. I'm proud of where I'm from. We have our little quirks and things that we own our own personality, and I think that that's part of me too. We're small, but we don't play small. I was raised by my dad. He's a single father. He raised the three of us. So I learned resilience. I learned responsibility early,
Nice.
and it gave me grit, adaptability, and that drive pushed me forward even when things weren't easy.
Nice. That's well said.
Yeah, I like that. And when you said the grit reminds me, project management. So definitely aligns. So tell us what kind of roles you're currently looking for.
So the roles that I'm looking for right now is roles that I can own execution and delivery. So project management, implementation, onboarding, sales ops, sales support, even we'll say sales and operations, project management, and account management. So basically the kind of work that has a lot of moving parts. And someone needs to keep those timelines and deliverables moving so that way the program runs smoothly.
That's what's nice. And what do you feel is your background, where your strengths are in your background? What do you feel you're at?
So, as far as my background is concerned, I really feel like I do a lot of really good like execution. I do a lot of good as far as the support is concerned. Let's see, there's just a lot that I'm really just I don't know. The execution is really good. I like to drive projects home. Um, there's just so many.
Oh, that's good. Amy, how do you feel with project management? Because that's such a wide variety, isn't it? Like when you say project management, I know a lot of people, and I understand what you're saying, and so does Amy. But Amy, how do you put that out there about, this is what I'm looking for, project management? But what do you go after? Like, how do you go after that?
So I think having somebody with, being able to describe what they've done
Right.
and the deliverables, who the stakeholders are, and just really being able to identify and articulate, the steps along the way, who was all involved, how.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of different items that need to be shared. to really understand if you are truly a project manager. Like what kind of system are you using? There's a lot, but project management is such a widespread, but being able to narrow down something very specific and peel that back to really
on
see.
that,
Yeah, I think
what you
it's
can do. Jen, what kind of industries do you feel you're strong in? When you say you're looking in, again, I like to say Rhode Island, I like to put Rhode Island. What kind
Yeah.
of industries really that you feel you're really qualified for?
So CPG and retail are my strongest fit,
I saw that.
especially for brands that sell. So for me, my background is actually being part of national brands and national companies and stuff like that. So for me, I work well in manufacturing and distribution, but I'm also open to adjacent industries too. So even if it's healthcare, as long as it's work, the work is centered around launches and implementations, operational execution, and customer facing delivery. Really,
Right.
that's what my passion is. So
Okay.
So, with that, can you share a specific project or accomplishment that you're most proud of that you want to showcase?
yeah, so for me, I'm most proudest of the execution wins that made the business run better, excuse me, and strengthened the accountability and protected revenue. So I'm really excited that I was able to do that in my lifespan. But one example is a data warehouse implementation across 40
Nice.
sites. So teams were working on different systems, they were working on different processes. The leadership needed a consistent and accurate P&L, so profit and loss statement. And I worked across inventory, route reconciliation, accounting, and I standardized inputs by supporting the testing and pilots. I handled site expectations, and all of that effort across all 40 sites. And I'm probably not even giving it enough detail to let you know like what it entailed because it was
Right.
just so much. But that effort altogether, it definitely helped with the discrepancies. Not every single one of them was its potential because of different issues that we had to address, but we were able to rescue it and make sure that it was 35% that gave our leadership more of a reliable view of that performance, which is great because it was better than what it was. Because you have, let's just say you had like a sales adjustments that you were putting into the system, and everyone,
Right.
all different 40 sites were keying in all different, adjustment codes. So we standardized those adjustment codes across the board, which then it became more accurate once, because you have junk in the system, you have junk out of the system. So
Nice.
because of that, yeah, we were able to really give them a good P&L, much better than there actually was.
Amy, I think that's a great question that you asked that because look right there what she said right there. That's what I love about this show because the resume is great. I mean, I love a resume, but this is just listening to her right there. Now I learned a lot more about what she's looking for.
Well, when you talk about just one site and all the different personalities, the people, the departments,
Yep.
and every department can do something a little bit different. And when you multiply that by 40 with the different people, the different departments, and everybody has their own take on it and their own way of doing it and the why behind it. There's just a lot to peel back on that. And so I think anybody who has been in project management can really appreciate what
Yeah.
Jen was talking about because that's no small task.
Mhm.
No, not when you're doing that. Jen,
Right.
refresh my memory here, and I'm pretty sure, but I know there's remote work, hybrid, and contract. And what areas, like what are you looking for in that type? Like, what your ideal?
Yeah, so my ideal would be to work remote. I do not have an issue going hybrid as long as it's around where I am locally. So I'm about, we'll say, about an hour south of Boston, and I'm about 20 minutes north of Providence. And so I'm in like major cities, but it has to be something local that's around me. But for me, I do work best. I'm able to stay focused and manage multiple moving parts when
Okay,
I can work remote.
nice. I love it.
Mhm.
So if we were to ask your colleagues on how to describe you, what would they tell us?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so for me, I believe that I would like to think that they would say that I was reliable. They would say that I was definitely someone that you can depend on. It was someone that I don't, I mean, geez, that I'm coachable, I'm adaptable,
I like
that
that.
I'm
Yes.
able to, yeah, I'm able to get the job done. And, if there's moving parts that are out there, no one has a home for them, no one knows whose job it is, then it's for me, that's what I do, is take that, make sure that it has a home. How did it slip? Well, no one claimed it. Well, let Jen claim it, so I'll be that person that takes that on. So for me, it's all about being able to be aligned and be able to execute those projects. So that's what I
Nice.
do over and over again, is making sure that everything is always moving, that I'm able to work with other people. I have patience, and that I'm not aggressive in any sort of way. And I think that there's something that's said about that, because if you go into a company and you're like, I want this, give me this right now, or blah blah blah, it's not going to work that way. So if you're
Right.
kind and all you have to do is ask, and you'll get it. I'm assertive, that's for sure, but
Mhm.
I'm not aggressive in any sort of way. So I usually get more done being the way that I am. So,
Okay. All right. I'm
Yeah,
trying to think.
approach and delivery is key. That will make or break.
Yeah.
And confidence. If you don't have confidence, it's going to be hard to find a role.
yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is because again, I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm learning so much about you just before, like we talked before the show, but now, we've known about your background, about your family, about you growing up, what you do for work, where you're looking. Again, project management to me, I'm like, wow, how do you sell that to me? Because it's just like you could, like Amy, with the consulting, you want to go in, you have to learn it all. So you're going to be like, okay, but at the end of the day, I guess it's about showing results, and that
Mhm.
that that'll get you in there far. If you had to say, what do you believe three of your core strengths are, if you had to just pin them down?
Let's see. My core strengths, I think I've already said one of them, is just like execution.
Right.
I'm really good at that. I'm really good at problem solving. I'm really good at being able to get the job done, and on time, and taking really complex issues, and messy issues, and being able to go in and say, okay, this is how you clarify that. This is taking these steps and making it so easy that anyone can do it. And what's important about that is that you want people to adopt that. And the only way you can adopt it is if you can simplify it and make it
Okay.
part of the process every day. So that's a lot of what I do.
Okay.
And really being able to, because you've got so many different personalities and different levels of understanding, and being able to quickly identify who understands what and how to talk to them at that level that they can
Yeah.
appreciate and understand. There's a
Mhm.
lot of dynamics and a lot of moving parts, and being able to read the room and be able
Yeah,
to have that conversation so everybody can understand at varying levels is definitely an art.
It is.
mhm.
That's always a tough one.
Yeah.
So
Um, so yes, you've, I'm looking at different questions here. So how do you recharge or stay balanced?
Yeah, so I love this question. It's my favorite, actually.
there you like.
um,
Look at that big smile there, so it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. So for me, I have a really big family, and I plug into my family. I love spending time with them when I can. But aside from that, I'm a music connoisseur. So I love anything, going to concerts, traveling for concerts. I've gone near and far just to see them. And it really energizes me and keeps me focused. And that's how I plug in, is that way. And then I also just love to be outside, anything that has to
yeah.
do with a fire and camping and all of that sort of thing. And anything that has to do with the beach, being out in the
Oh,
sun and the sand and all of that. I love it. And cooking and baking and things like that. So all the fun stuff. Yeah,
that's
that's how
that's
I
what's
plug
nice when
in.
you can put that out there of what you like, because especially even sports, it doesn't matter. Like you said, outside, and that's how you have to bring yourself down because of stress of work. I mean, let's face it, we all have it. And
Yeah,
if you don't release it somehow, I love music like you do, and I just it's part of me. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't know how to recharge sometimes.
right.
What I like about this here is how do you approach challenges or problem solving at work? Like, take me through like something, an example. Maybe somebody comes in at work, talks about what you've learned. How do you go after it?
So for me, how do I approach a challenge or a problem is I start by getting clear on what's happening. So for me, what's the impact and what does it look like? Then I pull in the right people, break it into steps, really easy steps, and I assign clear ownership. I keep it visible with a tracker, consistent check-in cadence. I call out risks early. And once it's solved, I document what we've learned so it doesn't keep happening. And after that's done, what we do is sit around a table and we
See,
figure out what
love it.
worked and what didn't work. And what didn't work, we then take it and make it so that way it's fixable and it works the next time. Sometimes maybe we pilot something to see if it's going to execute the way that we think that it's going to. Maybe it was very successful and there's nothing that we need to do. And now it's created an SOP. This is what everyone's going to learn from every single time. So it just
That's,
depends. But for me, the bigger thing is to keep a project moving and making sure that it's sustainable.
I love that answer. That you can't ask for a better. What I like the way you talked about it. Just you're not you. I can understand you know what to do there because it just comes right out easy. You agree, Amy? I mean, it just when she's
Right.
talking about it, it's right there. You know.
Right. So, how do you handle when somebody wants to keep changing the scope of the project and that affects the budget and the timeline and whatnot? So, how do you handle that?
I tell them to knock it off. No, I don't say
I love it. Knock it off.
No, I'm kidding.
Um,
Sometimes people do have a fear of change, and that's really what change management is all about, right? Is being able to work with people that might be a little bit resistant to change. So for me, sometimes you have to explain to them what the actual bigger picture is going to be. Like if you're working and you're not working as smart as you could be because there's so much chaos going on, or there's so many systems, or there's so many processes, and we sit down and say to this person or other people or different personalities and say, by doing this, it may be a lot of work up front, but if we do this and we follow it, then here's the end result. And once people hear that and they see other people doing it too, and then you give them kudos for trying, it goes a long way. And more times than not, they get right on board after that.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah, that
Um,
does happen a lot. So, just curious how you handle that.
Yeah.
all right, let's see here. All right, one of these questions here, I love it. What kind of tasks or projects energize you the most? Like, what really gets you going there? You have a passion for.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a lot of passion for anything that's CPG, project
Can
management,
you actually,
accounting.
can you explain to me what the CPG is? I'm trying to figure that out real quick.
Yeah, so the consumer packaged goods. So it's anything
Oh,
in manufacturing, retail.
okay.
Yeah, it's anything like that whatsoever. For me, when I think about like a company that I want to work for, I think about like, where would I feel proud to be? Do I Can I get behind this product? Can I get behind this service? And so that, ignites me a lot. That's what is I'm passionate about
Nice.
is it something that I can deliver? Is it a food product, or is it a process that I'm rolling out? Something that I would like to stand behind because I believe in it. And that's one of the bigger things that, I'm energized about. But I can do just about anything. And that's what's great about, everywhere that I've been all around, from seeing concept all the way to shelf, is
All
that
right.
I'm able to see things from a different perspective. I'm able to get a different opinion or perspective on how things move. And because of that, it just makes it much more clearer and cleaner.
Nice. I love it. That's a great answer. Great answer.
So, what have you learned from your past role that you carry with you today?
Hmm. What have I learned from my past role?
I'm trying to think what I would say. I'm like,
Yeah,
whoa,
I know.
that's a tough
Please.
one. I'd be like, whoa, what have I learned? Uh-oh.
I think I've learned that launches and sales implementations only work when the execution is tight. Getting clarity on ownership and standardization on the inputs and that drive results, things like that, like making sure that the launches are ready, making sure inventory is ready,
Nice.
everyone is on board. There's clear communication about a system rollout. We test a pilot site first. And that, everyone knows who is working on the project. So that way, when they
Right.
know, they can go back to that person and there's no confusion. So to me, everything is all about communication and documentation. So it just makes it easier for teams to follow.
Yeah, the
Nice.
who, what, where, how, when, why.
Exactly.
You answer all the, if you have that written down and you're able to articulate what each of those, mean
Mhm.
for that project, I mean, you really can't go wrong as long as you're following, making sure that all stakeholders are aware of said, information or change or
Yeah.
whatnot. So you don't have oops later.
Later, right? One I had here was number 6. I like this one. Is was there any kind of technical or soft skills that you've mastered that sets you apart?
Yeah, so I mean, I have a little bit of everything, right? So I'm strong in the systems and support execution, visibility, and adoption. So for project management and workflow, I use Smartsheets a lot. I use Monday.com, Jira, MS Project. For documentation and collaboration, I use Confluence, SharePoint, Google Space. For reporting, I use Power BI, SQL
Wow.
reporting, SSRS, which is part of SQL reporting. Um, I use Salesforce.com, SAP, JD Edwards, RMS, DMS, Ross Rams, you name it. I've probably, been part of it. And a lot of demand planning tools too, like demand solutions. I've used those as well.
Nice. That's a great answer. I mean, that just I couldn't even remember everything like you just did.
I knew hardly any of those things that you just talked
I had
about.
like about 6 of them I knew,
I
and I
got
was like, okay,
Salesforce,
Salesforce, SAP. I'm thinking you just
Power
brought
BI.
that out. If I was asked that, I'd be
Mhm.
like, okay, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. How
Yeah.
many do I know? But there again, Amy, this is what I'm talking about. You
Mhm.
have the
Mhm.
resume, and you love doing a video here because if I was a recruiter right now listening to that, I'd be like, all right, let me write it down. I'd be like, wait a minute here, looking at your
Mhm.
resume, but that's a lot of soft skills there that you have on the technical
Yeah,
end of that. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I didn't add that I work with a lot of SOPs, a lot of swim lanes too. So when you're tracking a project or you're trying to come up with a project, using swim lanes
Right.
makes it easier and visually for other people to be able to understand, when to start, when to stop, when to go, all that sort of thing. And also RACI and RAID logs. I use implementation guides and training materials as well. So there's a lot that, I still have a lot to learn, believe me, but there is a lot that I have in my
They have
back
to.
pocket. So that way, when I do go to my next company, I can just hit the ground running with everything I have.
Nice. Love it.
Nice. So, what unique value can you bring to a team?
So for me, to my unique value, I feel like because I do concept, I know concept to shelf. It's a big thing for me. I feel like I've learned so much about it. To me, that's a unique value. So I bring the ability to see things from a cost perspective. I,
Nice.
I see things bigger than normal. Like when you go into a store, you don't see everything that happens behind it. In fact, you might look at a bottle of water or you might look at any
Oh,
product and just say, okay, well, it's just a bottle of water. Well, no, that's not it, right? There's a cap that goes to it. There's a
yep.
plastic bottle. There's a label. There's all the instructions on the label. There's just so much to it. All of these moving parts. And so, because I've seen it come all the way from the concept, whether we do flavored water or we do a different kind of water, all kinds of flavors and sizes and things like that. So I've seen it. I know what it's
Love
like
it.
for it to be on shelf, and know its performance. So I think that the value that I bring is that I'm able to execute at scale for product and customer programs. I think that I'm able to connect the dots. I feel like I can see the full picture. I know how to align sales and ops and account management, operations, supply chain, creative, packaging, quality, finance. So I've been part of those teams and I bring structure to all of that and I'm able to run with it and also to know timelines and trackers and
Yeah,
SOPs,
all that.
projects, all of that. It's like that's the way that I show up and that's the value that I bring to a team.
Nice.
And
I got one more before Amy's going to ask one of the last questions. It's not on the sheet, but it's going to be an easy one.
okay.
When you said in Rhode Island, and I see you talking about project management, like with manufacturing, retail, in Rhode Island, is there a lot of manufacturing up in that area around you, or is it more like in our Lehigh Valley here? We are just swamped by logistics centers. But in Rhode Island, I know you say that. Is there a lot of that? And then when you say about retail, is that the retail stores what you're working with?
Yeah, so we do have manufacturing plants. I wouldn't say they're huge manufacturing plants. A lot of them are distribution places, but there are
Okay,
like Kenny Manufacturing, which I don't know that I want to call out, but I just did it, and it's a
that's okay.
manufacturing plant. I didn't know if I could do that on
Yeah,
air. But yeah, so there's plenty of them, like Gorelick Farms. That's another manufacturing plant. They like
okay,
literally do the plastic bottles and put the milk together and ship it out. So they do everything there. That's where I come from anyway. That's my background.
okay.
So yeah, there are places. I wouldn't say it's huge, but I would say that there are a lot of manufacturing plants. And
Manufacturing.
when I do say retail, I do mean both of that. So I mean like
Okay,
retail to the stores. I don't mean like me actually working at retail, but when I talk about retail, I talk about, we'll say Walmart, we'll say Dollar General, we'll say Lowe's. Like to me, that all of that is retail.
okay. That's why I was curious where it broke down on that part. So okay.
Okay. All right. So the last question: why should a company hire you?
Okay. This is the big one. Ding, ding,
Big, big.
ding. Now, I think a company should hire me because I bring and programs to life through execution. I love taking something from concept to shelf. I love walking into a major retailer and seeing something on shelf that I've helped make happen. Um, so for me, if you walk into a Walmart, like I was just saying, you walk into a CVS, you walk into a Lowe's, a Dollar General, Target, any one of these things, um, I'm going to bet that that I've put a product there. I bet that I've
Nice.
helped. Maybe that I didn't land it and I'm not a salesperson, but I am sure that I've either helped you execute it through either something like a project manager that helped in execution piece of it, or that from
Nice.
account management perspective, that I was able to land it because of behind the scenes working with sales, giving them the strategies that they need to be able to sell. So that's part of what I do is taking like a product that we know and what is this customer like? What is Walmart like? Where are we going to go on shelf? And I have to give a strategy behind that. How are we going to get on that shelf? And so when I wrap it up and give all the sales the tools that they need and
Right.
everything, um, for me, then that's what I do is just being able to give the sales force what they need to translate their requests into tools and timelines and things like that. So that's a lot about what I do. Mhm.
I
Oh,
couldn't have answered that one better. Wow, that was
yeah.
great. I love
Jen,
it.
I am just having this conversation with you has been enlightening,
Thank
and I think that you are going to be just a pivotal new person to any company that wants to bring you on. You've got such experience, and I hope that this gets to, as Dave says, just one.
just
Uh,
I think
that's
that
it.
you've got a wealth of experience, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate you telling us all about it.
You do,
yeah,
and my last part of it is, like I said, I've learned a lot from you tonight about project management. I didn't realize, like you said, you have a lot there going from that CPG to manufacturing, consumer good. There's a sales, even sales into that. You're like,
yeah,
wow, that really lightens. And the way you talked about it tonight, I can see it's your passion. You can just
yeah.
tell. I mean, you know what you're really talking about there. And again, anybody out there, please, reach out to Jen on LinkedIn. We'll put everything in the comments section as well.
Mhm.
And tonight I want to thank you, Jen, for coming on. For somebody, we always when Amy talked to him, hey, you do a live interview, but hope we made you feel comfortable, and you answered everything. And I think that some of these employers are asking in the interviews, Amy. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are the questions that I'd be asking. So yes, for sure.
yeah. So, but
Yeah.
on that part, I'm going to play the video on the way out here, and then I'm going to talk to you. We'll talk right after the video. Okay. All
Okay.
right. Thanks so much. Thank you, Amy.
Thank
And
you
we'll
for
talk to
having
you soon.
All right.
Yes, talk to you soon.